Trade deadline was about 24 hours ago. Here it is by the numbers. The first one's 25. That's how many trades occurred, including 24 of them within the last week. And the next number is, wait for it, 56. That represents how many players switched teams prior to the deadline. Some notables: Anthony Davis to the Wizards, James Harden to the Cavs, Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Jazz. And lastly, number 3 represents how many teams actually didn't make a trade at the deadline. The Rockets, the Spurs, and actually kind of surprisingly, the Heat. You would have thought, Pat Riley likes to go whale hunting, as he puts it, for those big stars. Nothing happened with Miami. Our Bobby Marks was all over it. You've had a day to rest, relax, decompress, and really assess everything that happened. So put it in perspective for us.
Yeah, I'm going to steal a line from my colleague Brian Windhorst. Pre-free agency. I think that was the theme of the trade deadline here. Hannah, when was the last time we saw 3 of the worst teams in the NBA, Washington, Indiana, go out and make deals at the deadline basically for next year? And I think when you look at it, certainly for the Washington, they went out and got Trae Young in January, and then they go out and get Anthony Davis at the deadline. Those 2 moves are for next year. For a Wizards team that can go from lottery to maybe top 6, Indiana, the gap year with Tyrese Halliburton out, Ivica Zubac. Utah, go out and get Jaren Jackson, former defensive player of the year. Now, Minnesota is not a rebuild, but they go out and get Ayo Dosunmu. They wouldn't have not been able to sign him if he was a free agent. In total, 12 draft picks for those players, including 8 first-round picks. I think it will be interesting to watch. Remember, Utah and Washington will send their first-round picks if it does not fall in the top, if it falls in the outside the top 8 here. So that's something to watch down the stretch. But pre-free agency for those 4 teams.
Yeah, and then we have Giannis sitting there with the Bucks, so we'll be talking about him ad nauseum for the next several months and into the summer. What can we expect there?
Well, I think there's 2 different timelines regarding Giannis. I think it's the now, which is now from the rest of the end of the season here. Will he come back, right? Will we see him on the court here? He's got that calf injury. Here's a Milwaukee team that's outside of the play-in. I believe they're 2 games behind of Charlotte right now. A Milwaukee team that certainly could use some good luck in the lottery. And then there's the future. The future is this summer. Hannah, at the end of the day, the rubber is going to meet the road here regarding Giannis as far as him being in Milwaukee or being traded. He's got that October 1st date where he can sign a long-term extension. Certainly, if he does not extend with the Bucks, I think you definitely have to look to move him. I will say this, Hannah, one more thing for you.
Okay.
He put out that funny meme from the Wolf of Wall Street yesterday.
Yes,
it should be noted that character eventually did leave. So I'll just put it out there like
Leo
that.
DiCaprio? Yeah. Okay. I don't know if we're supposed to read between the lines that deep, but why not? Because we're going to have to find things to talk about when it comes to Giannis. I know you have plenty to talk about coming up on NBA Today.
Well, the trade deadline, it's come and gone. Some of the biggest names, they stayed put. Of course, Giannis remained with the Bucks. The Grizzlies held on to Ja Morant. At least for now. As we say hello and happy Friday, Malika Andrews here alongside Brian Windhorst, our resident big man Kendrick Perkins, the one and only Bobby Marks. And you know it is a big show when Tim Legler flies in to join us here in studio. Tim, thanks so much for having me.
Good to be here with my peeps. I like the combo. I like the combo on the suit legs. I ain't gonna lie.
Always looking sharp. And it's good to have you here, Tim, because it's been about 24 hours, just about, since the NBA trade deadline. And we haven't gotten a chance to hear who your biggest winner is that you're keying in on.
Big winner for me is the Indiana Pacers. You get Zubac. I'm sorry. That, for me, is the biggest win, particularly when if you make the assumption next year you're going to get Halliburton back healthy, right? I know that's maybe a big assumption because that's a serious injury. But if you can make that assumption, when you pair him with Pascal Siakam and now you have Zubac, when you start talking about big threes and particularly how it relates to the Eastern Conference, the Indiana Pacers immediately inject themselves right back into the conversation as a team that potentially can make it all the way to the NBA Finals. I know they gave up some pieces they really liked. They gave up some picks as well. Bobby's more about those picks. I know how much he values those, but you give up Benedict Mathurin, I know that's a lot. Isaiah Jackson, those guys matter. When you have a talent like Zubac, I'm sorry, you put him with Halliburton and Siakam, Perk, they're right there in the mix again at the top of the East.
You missed me, huh?
I saw Malika looking at you a certain way. So
Legs, I miss you, brother. But I got the Pacers, out of all the moves that was made yesterday, you know where I'm going.
Well, we know for you it's the Knicks.
You damn right it's the Knicks. It's the Knicks. I mean, think about it. They made a small move, but an important move when they went out and got Jose, but they didn't have to make a move. You know why? Because the Bucks didn't trade Giannis. So now they're playing with house money.
Well, let's see if you agree maybe then on the biggest loser
Tim
Let me
has
see.
here.
Who are you looking at saying, oh, I can't quite get there?
I don't think he's going to agree with me on this because it's not necessarily anything relevant to right now this year because of the season they've had. But I'm looking at the Sacramento Kings. I'm sorry. I'm looking at a team.
They've been losing, Larry.
You're right, which is exactly why you don't jettison off any parts. Right? You got a team full of veteran guys, and you basically have the same exact team that's led to 12 wins to this point in the season. I'm just shocked that there wasn't some movement. I know they tried to get into talks for Sabonis, that was not able to be something that they got done.
Right.
But I'm just looking at a team with all that veteran talent, and you've got 12 wins, last place in the Western Conference, and you don't do anything. You're just going to stand pat for the rest of the season. And really the future as well doesn't look too good in Sacramento.
There's a phrase we use in the front office, Legs. If you want to dance, you got to have a dance partner. And there was nobody willing to dance with the Sacramento Kings yesterday.
See, I thought he was going to say if you want to dance, you got to have a dance party. And I guess Sacramento also didn't have that. The thing about the deadline, though, there's still business to be handled around the league. Business as usual, games to be beat. Finishes emphatically.
Do you guys know how hot of an offensive streak Cooper Flag is on right now?
How hot, Wendy?
So hot.
Welcome for that, Internet. Victor Wembanyama working his way inside. And then 2 minutes later, Wemby passes it to Carter Bryant, back to Wemby. Little oop. No lobs too high for him. And then Flag working on De'Aaron Fox here. He spins, rolls, wild shot, and yet somehow Legs, he gets it to go.
Absolutely. He's got great balance, and he's just so confident when he gets matchups against smaller players.
Oh, my God.
That's confidence. Right there, Perk.
I mean, and that is against an elite defensive team, by the way.
Zips inside once again.
Over
How
Wemby.
hot?
Floater.
That was high. Hot and high.
Start of the fourth quarter here. Castle passes it to Wemby in the lane. Easy dunk. Their connection, it remains so strong. And then 4 minutes left in the fourth here. Fox passes it to Castle, knocks it down. Castle extends the Spurs lead here. Finishing touches. Wemby passes it to Fox. Fox in the corner, icing the game. The Spurs go on to win this 135-123. And Cooper Flag, I'm going to say he's been in a flow state, Ryan, right? Just,
whatever you want.
He's been in a flow state on the court as of late. He's playing at a level we haven't seen by any rookie since Michael Jordan in 1985. Coop, MJ, they're the only rookies in the last 45 seasons to have 4 straight games with 30 points and 5 rebounds. Brian, what adjective are we going with to describe Cooper Flag here?
He's also scored the most points in 4 games since Iverson.
That's not an adjective, but I like it.
He is doing it at both ends of the court as well. And guess what's most important? The Mavericks are losing. They've lost 6 games in a row, which is important because they're going to get a draft pick this year.
Perk shaking his head.
I know who Cooper Flag is, right? He's living up to the hype. The other side of things is real quick. Victor Wembanyama, he refused to let us put him in the box. Right, like people was complaining that we want him to go more inside, but he took those tray balls yesterday and he's knocking them down. He's a prime example of me. While everybody else is going, here's why. Because while everybody else is going right, I typically go left, and that's what he does.
Victor Wembanyama is the prime example of Kendrick Perkins. That is not a sentence I thought I would hear this Friday, but I am oh so happy that I did. Still to come here on NBA Today. Hey, Brian, when was the last time we said, how about them Hornets?
1999?
Well, they're creating some buzz.
It's been that long.
Did they take a step forward? Yeah, it just about